We all know about it, the ABC Four Corners program, its hit job on former Attorney General Christian Porter earlier this year. I've had my say about this appalling and irresponsible vigilante journalism in the past, where the ABC put into the public arena the most unlikely, implausible, unprovable and vicious allegations of historical sexual assault against Christian Porter. He sued the ABC, they settled, paying his costs and issuing a statement that effectively said they knew the allegations could never be proven and also that they really never had any expectation that any audience, any readers, any viewers would believe that these allegations were actually true. Which begs the question, of course, why did they publish them? It was clearly a vicious character assassination, and only now are we starting to see more evidence of how ABC journalists collaborated in a shocking attempt to try to bring down Christian Porter. Court processors have revealed text messages, including from ABC host Annabel Crabb, who we thought had nothing to do with any of this, and she turns out to be involved in helping the story along. And she told one interviewee that she thought Porter was a strange dude, and that he was amazingly arrogant, thinking he could mistreat people and get away with it forever. Wow. Talk about objective journalism. Nothing quite like trial by leftist journalist, is there? This is extraordinary stuff. There's more to come, and we know Four Corners reporter Louise Milligan has had some messages and tweets deleted. Jack, what do you reckon this tells us?
Well, I think journalists, and all journalists, not just at the ABC, but also in the private sector, you need to be careful if you have a conflict of interest. And it's not good enough to say, well, the conflict of interest is actually part of my story and it's why I want to champion this particular issue. That's fine if there is some degree of separation. But if you personally knew the alleged victim, or if you have a personal stake in the game, it was my understanding that as a journalist, you hand that story off to someone else. You don't dig deeper, and you definitely don't obfuscate and make it seem as if you're objective and make it seem as if you don't have a link. Because that, to me, is, regardless of the facts or how they've presented it, there should be that declaration that there is a link there that hasn't been disclosed. And the most concerning thing that's coming out with all these new court documents is that it wasn't just one person at the ABC. It's multiple people at the ABC were working together behind the scenes, texting each other, and they had already made a decision. In their minds, the guilt was obvious, and they were going about to prove a pre-existing narrative in their mind, and I thought the journalist's job was to reflect reality and follow the evidence.
Yeah, crucial points you make there, Jack. Just to follow up on those, Sophie, it's absolutely clear that you had this culture in the ABC. They were out to get Christian Porter. They'd decided he was innocent. It's a typical pile-on or trial by media against a conservative figure here. But the other thing they also knew was that there was no evidence that would stand up in any court, whether it was criminal or civil. They knew that this could never be proved in a normal court of law. And in fact, there's a narrative where it's almost as if they're deciding that they will dispense justice, despite the fact that this thing would never stand up.
Chris, there's so much going on with this case. I mean, revelations just keep coming to light. But what concerns me in the story this week is with those text messages that did come to light between Joe Dyer and Annabel Crabb, why are some of them redacted? Now, if there's nothing to hide, then why can't we see all the messages? Now, Christian Porter has said that he's looking down the avenue of actually trying to be able to access full text messages. But there's so many questions that have to be raised here because it seems like there's many links behind closed doors that weren't completely open and transparent throughout this whole process, and more of this information keeps coming to light, which clouds the whole putting together of this story, because there was involvement behind the scenes that wasn't disclosed throughout the coverage of this.
I can't wait to see more, Sophie and Jack. In fact, if the ABC and those journalists are interested in transparency and believe they've got nothing to hide, they should be putting out all their text messages, all their emails, full transparency here. Instead, I think they're going to try and hide as much as they can.